I hear KD. He's a hooper, right? He'd make any team in the history of basketball better. He doesn't need the ball. He does everything right. He can score like crazy, whether he's the focal point or not. So I hear what he's saying. What have you observed about the attitude about his return and the whole savior thing around the team?
That's all they feel like, Max. That his teammates know how good he is, and they know when he's on the floor, everything changes, and they're going to be that much better. And for all the optimism that had been let out of the balloon the other day when they heard the mayor's comments about Kyrie, the fact that Kevin is now back and he's feeling like himself and he knows he can go on the floor and dominate makes everybody in that building and on that floor tonight know, okay, we're ready to start the push going into the last 6 weeks of the regular season.
Yeah, as great as Embiid has been and Jokic and there are lots of great players in the league, but I think over the last year or so there is a consensus that the torch has been passed as best player in the world from LeBron to KD when he's on the floor. But how much will he be on the floor? Is he on a minutes restriction first game back?
Not really. They're going to talk to him the whole night, but they're going to let him set the tone. And they know that he wants to play 30, 35 minutes somewhere in there. Of course, they're going to be more cautious because he hadn't played in a month and a half. But, Max, you know this just as well as I do. Kevin Durant sets the tone for everything in that organization. If KD wants to be on the floor and play a little more tonight, that's what he's going to do, and that's what they're expecting.
Yes, sir, Mr. Durant. How many minutes would you like to play?
Exactly.
When can we expect to see Ben Simmons back? Because I felt like ain't no way he's playing in Philly, right? And that tells you something about how at least many basketball fans think about Simmons now. And then as soon as that game's over, his back will be magically healed. What do you know about it?
The issue is a little more serious, I think, than they thought. I watched him in Milwaukee on Saturday night. He's walking around in one of those contraptions that's getting some stim in the back. I think he's a couple more weeks away at least. And I know there was a lot of focus on that Philly game, and everybody thought, okay, well, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and see how it goes. Now that that's kind of gone and not a possibility, they're going to be really, really cautious because they're not just hoping that he comes back this year and plays well. They're hoping that they have him in the right mind space of what's going on. And I think that was crucial this morning. KD said, I haven't been able to work with him a lot because he's still doing a lot of individual work, hadn't been cleared for practice. But Max, he said, this seems like a really happy guy. He seems like he's in a good place. Drummond said the same thing the other day. So they know that Simmons is feeling good, and they know when he gets healthy, he'll be in the right space to play really well again quickly.
When Simmons is right, he's one of the most spectacular shows in sports and a great two-way player, except he doesn't shoot. But even without the shooting, he's an amazing player. Hopefully he is right. Thank you, Nick. The Nets, who, by the way, were preseason favorites to win the title, are 9 games back of the Miami Heat for the 1 seed in the East. They are currently 8th and are currently given a 91% chance to be part of the play-in tournament per NBA BPI. Yeah, listen, if the Nets are healthy, they're going to be just fine. Joined now by the one and the only Kendrick Perkins. Perk, first of all, don't start this show by scowling at me. I want to see a big smile when you come on this show. There we go. Mean mugging me off the top of the show. Perk, how does the role change post Harden-Simmons trade?
Well, for Kevin Durant, he's going to go back to that point forward position, the role that he was playing when James Harden and Kyrie Irving wasn't playing, when he was going on that tear for the Brooklyn Nets. And he's going to have to be a guy not only to get buckets, but facilitate and make plays for others. But here's the thing, Max, I'm a little bit concerned for the simple fact that in his interview, KD said there's still soreness there. So that goes to show me that it's almost to the point where he has to play because of the situation that the Brooklyn Nets is in. So, it's going to be interesting to see what type of KD we get out.
That is persuasive analysis. It does. Connect the dots. That's right, Perk. By the way, Simmons created, I keep talking about it, more open looks from 3 than any player since he entered the league, right? So when you look at the shooters on the Nets, couldn't he run? You say he could play point forward, but Simmons could just play point guard or whatever you want to call it, right? With KD and Kyrie and eventually Joe Harris and Seth Curry. They could do that too, right, Perk?
Yeah, they can, but when is Ben Simmons going to play, Max? That's the question. Like, like we talk about the importance of this part of the season. It's 20 games or less, and we still haven't seen Ben Simmons play in 7 months. And so you still have to not only worry about his confidence, but you have to worry about the workload on his legs and get back into NBA form, because you can work out as much as you want individually, but nothing gets you in basketball shape like playing basketball. And so the game is faster, the speed is faster, so all those things matter. When are we going to see them? That's what I got to ask you, Max.
Right. Okay. So do you think, given the information you have now, given the mandates are still there with Kyrie, he's going to play half the games at this moment, given what you just said about Simmons and KD, will they have enough time in your estimation today, at this moment? Do you think they have enough time to get it together before the playoffs?
No, they don't. No, they don't. And they better be lucky if they get into the playoffs. And I say that to say this. When you look at what's going on for us, the play-in tournament, Max, we saw last year when Memphis shocked the world and beat the Golden State Warriors to get in. It could be one of those nights. And when you're dealing with a team like the Atlanta Hawks that have a electrifying superstar caliber player in Trae Young that could light you up for 50 and take control of a game, you got to be worried. When you're looking at the Charlotte Hornets, who are also right now in the play-in tournament, all those electrifying players from LaMelo Ball to Miles Bridges to if Gordon Hayward gets back, the additional Montrezl Harrell. Like, if you look at that situation just itself, I mean, the Brooklyn Nets, they're right in the middle of the fire, just like the Los Angeles Lakers are right now. They better hope to get into the playoffs. We talking about getting into the playoffs and making noise.
Perk spitting hot fire as always, even though the look on the face can be friendlier sometimes. Thank you, Big Perk. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.